Good morning Year 2s, it's Miss Whitmarsh here. Today we're going to be looking at telling the time again. In particular we're going to be looking at 5-minute intervals. But before we begin, we are going to start with a quiz. You're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil. Get ready for the questions. Question 1. What is time? A way of measuring how big a clock face is. B, a way of measuring how long it takes to do or how long things last. Or C, a number operation. Question 2. How many seconds are there in 1 minute? A, 100, B, 60, C, 30. Question 3. How many minutes are there in 1 hour? A, 35, B, 90, C, 60. Question 4. How many hours are there in a day? A, 12, B, 24, or C, 30. Question 5. How many days are there in a week? A, 7, B, 9, C, 10. Question 6. How many minutes are there in a quarter of an hour? A, 10, B, 15, C, 45. Question 7. How many minutes are there in half an hour? A, 10, B, 20, C, 30. Question 8. How many months are there in 1 year? A, 48, B, 36, or C, 12. Question 9. How many months are there in 2 years? A, 36, B, 24, C, 12. Question 10. What happens in a leap year? A, there are 29 days in February. B, there are 27 days in February instead of 28. Or C, there is an extra month in the year. That's the end of the quiz. The answers will be in the comments on our Facebook post later today. Here is our In Focus task to start our lesson. What is the time shown? Okay, so first of all, I've labelled my clock. I've got o'clock, my quarters, and I've labelled a half, and I've labelled the first side from the 12 down to the 6 as past, and the 6 around to the 12 as 2, because this is going to help us read the 5-minute intervals. So our first In Focus task is to read this time. My big hand is showing the minutes and my short hand is showing the hours. So I would read this as 3 o'clock. If I was to move forwards clockwise by 5 minutes, the time has now changed. I would read this as 5 past 3. So now I want us to have a look at the next 5-minute intervals, just focusing on the past side first. If we look carefully at my clock, we can see that it's actually going around in 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And this actually helps us read the time counting in 5s. So if I move to the 2, I would now read this as 10 past 3. If I move to the 3, which is 15 minutes past 3, I can also say quarter past 3. And then if I go down to the 4, I've now got 20 past 3. That means it's 20 minutes after 3 o'clock. 25 past 3. And then this is 30 minutes past 3. What else do we call this? That's right, we call it half past. So this would be read as half past 3. Here are some times for you to read. Be careful because on here the hands are actually the other way round to my clock. You'll notice that the red hand is the minute hand and the blue hand is the hour hand. So look really carefully. Say what you would also usually do at this time. Okay, so I've changed the time on my clock. How would you read it now? Why is the hour hand in between the 8 and the 9? That's right, it's now half past 8. Now, as we move around the clock, we can see that these numbers still increase by 5-minute intervals. We've got 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, because there's 60 minutes in a whole hour. When we move 5 minutes on, this is 35 minutes past 8 because we have carried on going past 8 o'clock. but we might also read it as 25 to 9. So let's have a look at how we would read the clock going up to the o'clock again, so the full hour. It can be quite tricky because you'll notice that we've got 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So we could use these numbers and say that it's past that hour. But normally we would read it as a 2. So this would be 25 to 9. Then we would have 20 to 9, quarter to 9, 10 to 9, 5 to 9, and then finally 9 o'clock. So finally this morning we're going to have a look at some time problems. So at the moment it is 3 o'clock. In 30 minutes the train will reach Castletown. In 1 hour the train will reach Temple Street. What time will it be when the train reaches Castletown? What about Temple Street? Have a go first and then carry on watching the video to find out how to work it out. So that problem starts with this time. So we would read this as 3 o'clock. It says that in 30 minutes time the train is going to reach Castletown. So this is the first part of the problem. This is 2 steps. So I want to go 30 minutes. I know 30 minutes is going to be halfway around my clock. So I'm going to move my minute hand. And now I can read this as 3:30. It says that it takes a full hour for it to get to Temple Street. Well, I've already done half. So now I know that I need to do another half an hour for it to get to Temple Street. So it would arrive at Temple Street at 4 o'clock. Using a clock is a really useful tool for working out problems. There are some on our website if you want to have a go. That's the end of today's lesson. If you want to keep practicing, on our website you'll find 2 different files. The first one is an I know what to do file, and there you can practice telling the time and what it will be after a certain amount of minutes. Then there is the challenge me file, which has got some challenge cards on telling the time. Or you can play the game that we played last week. Level 4 will help you practice 5-minute intervals. Enjoy and have fun.